It's an action-packed show this week. We have AI, ChatGPT, conversations on OTT, big tech. Speaking of OTT, the IPL is now going to be on a new streaming app. Are you going to watch it on the app? Are you going to watch it on TV? We will be checking with the Tech Today community. Also, a MacBook competitor, all that and a lot more. I'm your host, Aayush Ailawadi, and this is Tech Today. On Tech Today, we have a very special guest here at the Business Today Most Powerful Women Awards. I'm joined by Tarun Khanna of Harvard Business School. Sir, what a pleasure to have you on the show.
Nice to be with you, Aayush. Yeah.
Mr. Khanna, I want to start off by asking you about the biggest buzzword in the world of tech, which happens to be artificial intelligence. More importantly, generative artificial intelligence. And we have the usual suspect, ChatGPT, and maybe what big tech is doing and Google is doing with Bard as well. Some are seeing these as disruptors of the workforce, of society at large, changing everything in terms of how we approach work, how we approach so many things like school, education, and of course, there's this whole argument about the ethics of AI as well. How do you see it as an academic and as someone who understands the tech world better than most?
So, first of all, it is a buzzword, you're right, but I think it's more than that. I do think it's a pretty foundational change. Of course, the promise that's being delivered by generative AI is something that researchers have been after for a decade, maybe more. So its possibility was recognized. Now with better computing power and better models, it's being actualized for the first time. And you see this, I have all my students basically typing in my name and saying, introduce Tarun Khanna in the form of a rap song. And you get a pretty cool rap song. So there's some pretty crazy stuff that's going on. And I think it's a lot of fun. The first thing I would say particularly to, young people or people who are tech aficionados is don't be afraid of the tech. I mean, embrace it in some ways because the change is coming whether you like it or not. And it is going to be, like any form of change, unnerving. But you're a lot better approaching it with a positive attitude than an attitude that, oh my goodness, this is going to upend my life.
In terms of a lot of young people, especially Indians who moved to the US recently, and what's happening with what the world's calling a tech winter, I'd imagine a psychological and a financial safety net is required. And more importantly, when we talk about why we have gotten ourselves in such a situation, Professor, what lessons can be learned in terms of how big tech scaled up too fast perhaps in the US, and what is the ramification that we are seeing right now? What lessons can we learn from this particular instance?
So first, let me say that we should keep some perspective about what's happening now, about this so-called tech winter. I would distinguish, how would I say it, systemic trends from cyclical trends. The cyclicality here is basically over-exuberance followed by correction. Okay? The secular trend is one of really dramatic expansion of the technological revolution. And by technological, I mean scientific. I don't just mean IT computing and cloud computing. I mean quantum computing. I mean 3D robotics. I mean genome sequencing. I mean the space economy. I mean additive manufacturing. I mean exploration of the ocean floor. Those tech genies have left the bottle, and they're out there. That has not changed. There is no tech winner when you think about the systemic progress of tech. The tech winner is in the excess exuberance of the financial economy pouring money into certain things that they were excited about at the time, propelled by COVID, sensibly in some instances, and over-exuberantly in others. And that's the human condition. That's what we do. We get overexcited and we egg each other on. Now we're just correcting for that. And you're right, it's going to create distress. It's creating distress in some of my ventures. But we will ride it out. And that's what I mean by having both the financial safety net and the psychological safety net to still be smiling every morning as you go through it and you wait for the end of it. But the knowledge that the cyclicality is obviously up and down, as the term suggests, but the secular trend really hasn't changed. In fact, the amount of technological knowledge that's being added is, I don't know whether it's doubling every year or every other year, but it's something extraordinary. And it's an explosion of stuff.
It's getting better all the time.
It's getting explosive, more explosive all the time.
Well, that conversation was from Business Today's most iconic property, which was held earlier this week, MPW, or Most powerful women. I had the good fortune of hosting a couple of panels out there, and the Business Today team put together one of the most landmark events with the top conversations from the fields of entrepreneurship, artificial intelligence, technology, entertainment, and so much more. Here's a quick sum up of what that event was all about.
There's been so much conversation today and in the weeks leading up to this event about artificial intelligence and how AI is changing workplaces at this moment and how it's changing our lives. Could you share with our audience here how you see the advent of the era of artificial intelligence change what you're doing at it?
Well, I think that it's a great opportunity for us because it's going to not only lead to a lot of automation, but it's going to lead to a lot of different kind of skills. And I think one thing that the tech industry does quite well is always looking at future technologies and future skills. And I think this one's coming faster than we can even blink.
So what's your message to your teammates, your executives, in terms of how you're preparing? And what do you think are the lessons that people sitting here watching you at this moment can learn in terms of living at a time when machines are smarter than women and men?
Well, I mean, we've always lived with technological inflections, right? And we would have been having this similar conversations. Obviously, there was no social media when the calculators came and people thought they wouldn't be able to do math. But we've come through that. Then the internet came and we thought, oh my God, you know, now kids will be using the internet all the time and they're not going to be learning in schools. I think we've learned to work with it. So I think even with the advent of AI, it's still early stage for use cases. But at least in our industry, I'm sure there will be a lot of applications and opportunities around it, perhaps a lot more of automation. But AI was built by humans. I think we'll be smarter than them and we'll figure out how to use it to our advantage.
While everyone's been giving rave reviews about Swigato, the trailer that you guys just saw, it is a theatrical release. It's not an OTT only release, of course. I urge all of you all to go to the cinema halls and watch this movie. It's a tearjerker. It's doing well at film festivals across the world. But more importantly, I host a technology show for the India Today group. And there's a huge tech element behind this particular movie. It's man and algorithm. Everything changed during the lockdown. And content consumption patterns changed. More importantly, how we really ordered food all the time and were largely apathetic to the real situation on the other end of the delivery app. So how much of this, the script writing process was actually influenced, Nandita, by the algorithm?
Firstly, it was born during COVID times when, the irony of stay home, stay safe, I think wasn't lost on us because we were at home and we were still seeing these stories on television, in news about so many migrant workers trying to go back home. So much of joblessness had increased. People were doing far more menial work than what they deserved or what they were doing earlier. So there was all of this happening, and in some ways gig economy was seen as a bit of a savior. It was a new profession comparatively, and there were a lot of young people who were delivering things while we sat at home. And it was just I was just curious that what was their life? Because this was not a traditional workspace where you have colleagues and co-workers and a boss and you ask around and you complain about something. There was no contact. You were literally on your own with this one phone in your hand and in a country that's largely, not so literate, grappling with rules changing on the phone, with new instructions and, this ominous boss who's sort of invisible in some sense. Everything is on the phone. Who do you talk to? Who do you ask? Who is your colleague? So it was just sort of interesting that how these nameless, faceless people were just called Oi Swiggy, Oi Zomato, Oi Ola, whatever it might be. They were literally just these people. And I started talking to a few people. I also had a conversation with a publisher friend who was sharing an article about the growing unemployment, and that's how it was born.
So you've seen a bunch of Windows laptops and MacBooks on the show, but if you're in the market for a new premium laptop, something that can take on the MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros of the world, then Samsung has the new Samsung Galaxy Book 3. We gave you a first look at the launch event, but now we've been using it for some time, so we want to give you a few quick observations about this particular product. Firstly, when you hold it, it seems very light, not as sturdy as some of the other laptops from Dell and Apple, but I honestly think if you're traveling with something like this, it's way more compact and way more durable and can fit in even any tiny laptop sleeve or even in the small little compartment in my bag. And for that, well, I think they've done a great job with design. Now, Samsung says the speakers on this device are tuned by AKG, and honestly, although it's a super slim laptop, I don't know how they managed to do it, but the sound is as good, if not better, than even a MacBook or a top Dell computer. So they've done a good job there as well. So if you're holding it like this in one hand and you're calling this the Galaxy Book 3 Pro, it's not an apples to apples comparison if you're comparing it to the Apple ecosystem. No, this doesn't compare to the MacBook Pro with M2, which is truly the gold standard of computing and processing. It can compare to some extent with the M2 MacBook Air. This is a very, very powerful chipset inside it. Intel has tried to do a little bit of magic here as well. We'll tell you all about it through the course of this video. And you can see it's this gorgeous 14-inch AMOLED screen, and the colors on a Samsung device honestly are just so vibrant and gorgeous. I honestly think it is one of the best displays I have seen on a Pro laptop, comparable to the top of the heap, because Samsung really knows how to get their displays right. This is the sort of display they use on their high-end phones. In terms of ports, of course, it comes with a headphone jack. Thank God that they're not pushing us to the wireless ecosystem. When you're on a laptop, you often need wired headphones, and that's why it has that as well. The Galaxy Book 3 Pro comes with a 13th Gen Intel Core processor giving multi-core performance, and of course it also comes with an Intel Xe graphics card and PCIe SSD storage. It's 3K in resolution and has a super smooth 120Hz refresh rate, giving you a cinematic and seamless viewing experience. You get this of course on the 14-inch edition and of course on the 16-inch edition. If you're into gaming, with its graphics card and the fact that it's a Windows laptop, it will do a far better job than you choosing to buy a MacBook as a gaming computer. Also, because it comes with Windows and all the things happening in the AI world, especially with Microsoft really embedding ChatGPT across its products, Bing with their search engine, even across Office and Outlook, this is a device where you'd want to tinker around with that AI revolution a lot more, maybe not this one. So in a nutshell, if you have a Samsung Galaxy device and maybe a couple of other Samsung devices at home, this is now a very strong contender to be in the Galaxy ecosystem and make your job a whole lot easier. But if you're comparing it to the MacBook Air, then do remember that if you're on the Apple ecosystem, this is the best value for money product that you can get your hands on. That said, a good job done by Samsung in launching this device, which I can see myself traveling around with a lot more. When it comes to editing and stuff like that, we will have to check a lot more here on Tech Today, whether this can edit the show as well as our iPad and our MacBook can. But honestly, it's a step in the right direction. For more on this particular device, stay tuned to the Tech Today website. That's techtoday.in. Oh, you guys caught me on set. Look, this is what we do when the camera is not rolling, but it's also because cricket fever has engulfed the country. The IPL is back, and just like I like tech, I love sports as well. But the problem this time is it's back with a twist, because you're going to watch it on one streaming app from a particular media network, and then you'll be watching it on TV from a completely different media network. What will that viewing experience be like? Are you going to be a true blue tech geek who ends up watching it on streaming apps? Are you the OTT types, or are you going to watch it on TV? This is a Tech Today special report whilst I continue my game of cricket.
India's much awaited sporting event of the year, the Indian Premier League, is now live. But this year is not like any other. For starters, there are new teams, new stadiums, and most importantly, there's a new way to watch it. Unlike any other year, this is going to be the first time IPL will be made available to stream on Jio Cinema and not on Hotstar. And what's better, that it's going to be absolutely free of cost. So the question is, will you be watching it on Jio Cinema or on your television set? Let's find out.
I would prefer an app because it's much more convenient.
An app, and right now it's Jio Cinema, right? So I'll watch it there.
So do you plan to watch IPL this year?
Yes.
Where would you choose to watch IPL this year? On a television or on an app?
On television. I think that like a big screen is much more better than small screens or OTT for that matter.
I think lately I've been shifting towards Jio Cinema, especially with FIFA, because I found the interface very easy to use and it was similar to an OTT platform. So I think television is a bit outdated right now.
Both. Depends where I am. If I'm at my home, I'll watch it on the TV. If I'm somewhere else, I'll watch it on my phone.
TV.
My cable TV.
So where would you want to watch IPL this year? On television or on an app?
On an app, on mobile phone.
What I feel like is when I'm at home, I would like to watch it on a television as it's like a bigger source. And like I can watch it with my family because like we can enjoy the match. I don't mind the ads.
What's your reason for picking television over an app?
Because of the network first, and it is a big screen. It is more convenient than my app.
I feel it's much convenient, like very convenient to have a mobile around. You can just just go through, or if you have work, you can also do that.
If you had to pick any other app, let's say Hotstar, till last year Hotstar had the rights for it. It's only this year that Jio Cinema is coming to the picture. Would you pick Hotstar?
Yes.
Over Jio Cinema, yeah.
Between Hotstar and Jio Cinema, if you had to choose, what would you choose?
Hotstar. Because I have a subscription to that.
When I'm traveling or like when I'm outside, and when I don't have any source, I would like to watch it on the mobile.
Well, that was a bunch of sports and tech geeks basically trying to find out whether you're going to watch the IPL on an app or on good old TV. But I'm going to give you one more chance to reach out to Tech Today on our social media handles and let us know where you will be watching this experience. And then also let us know where you'll be watching Tech Today in the days to come. But what I can tell you is that I'm going to get back to my game of cricket, and you guys can, well, of course, enjoy tech, sports, and a lot more. Until next week, this is your host Aayush Ailawadi saying adios.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share, and subscribe.